and welcome to this episode of Own the Journey, where we're speaking with unbelievable business leaders from around the world. And today we have the privilege of speaking with the owner of Miller Commerce, Mr. Matt Miller. Matt, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
So talk to us just a little bit. So you're in the development game. So give us a little bit of your history and how you landed in this place.
Cool. Well,
yeah.
First of all, thank you for doing this.
Oh, yeah.
It's really a great platform to talk about business and life and leadership and all that stuff. You know, it's easy to talk about writing a book or doing a podcast or whatever, but to actually do it takes a lot of courage. So thank you for doing it.
Well,
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
And
thank you.
Thanks for having me. I hope I can make a dent in it.
Yeah, you will, I'm sure.
So I grew up as an entrepreneur. My dad was a baker. And I just grew up buying and selling skateboard parts, mowing yards, just doing that stuff. It was just in my blood. And did a lot of buying and selling cars in my teenage years and expanded that into houses. I bought my first house as a fixer-upper.
Yeah.
When I was 19, I bought it for $11,000, Tom. And even back then, that would have been probably late 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even back then, that wasn't very much money for a house.
No.
Right? Bought it for $11,000, sold it for $26,000.
Wow.
And worked on it for 6 months myself with my hands, and I made $126
Wow.
on it. So I learned a lot of lessons there about spending too much time and resources and all that stuff. But after that, I was hooked and just started doing it. Just kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
For better for worse.
For better for worse.
Start borrowing more money.
Well, you've managed to work your way into a real unique niche. I mean, so you guys do student housing, you do apartments, and you do long-term care facilities. Tell us just a little bit about that. That's kind of a unique area.
Yeah. So, you kind of look back on your career and you kind of just say, how did I get here? What happened? What I do as real estate developers, I don't think I'm unique in this way. We kind of follow the money. We follow the demand.
Right.
And what I have tried to do, and I do this more from retrospect, is kind of the way that I'm wired. I try to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I travel a lot. And being here in Springfield, I can go to areas like Phoenix or Chicago or wherever and just pick up things that are happening there. That's kind of started to be a little bit of my secret sauce. I used to want to, I'm very creative to a fault sometimes. So I used to just think of these development ideas and stuff. And now it's more, hey, I want to take something that's working somewhere else, that's already proven, bring it back and retrofit it into my market, put my sauce on and do my thing with it. And that's been a more successful model, doing it that way rather than flat out pioneering stuff.
No, I love it. Yeah. And so that's what you did with the long-term care facility. You saw some of the things that were going on. But what's unique that I learned from you about all of this is you're building a community. I mean, it's really about serving younger people than has ever been served in this kind of an environment before, and creating a place where they want to be rather than a place where they feel like they have to be.
Yeah, it's an experience. And the more that we do this, the more that we realize that you are selling an experience. It's a lifestyle there. The baby boomers, 10,000 people turning 65 a day.
Yeah.
And the baby boomers, if you really look at them as a cohort, as a demographic, they've changed everything their entire lives.
They have.
Starting out with Woodstock and rock and roll, but you think about strip centers and resorts, and just their demand has fueled everything in the last 40 years.
Right.
And so they're changing the way that we look at this type of care, which is really cool because their demands are so much different. And you just look at life, Mick Jagger's 78 years old. I mean, all people don't age that way, but we have a younger at heart demographic that we're dealing with. And realistically, I feel like even if you're not, you still think it's kind of cool to have cool stuff. I mean, look at McDonald's. Those are cool buildings now.
Right.
So the people who we are getting into an aging adult environment, a lot of them have stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, right? That's really cool, modern, sleek look, So we do more modern stuff, more entertainment, more fun stuff, less of just, the senior housing always had such a stigma in the past. It smelled bad and, it was kind of over there, living high rise or whatever it is. And it's a different deal now. I actually find it to be very exciting and vibrant, fun stuff to do.
And rewarding. I think it's so amazing that you're bringing that to it, because when I took a tour in there, and you had a pool tables and a pool hall and ping pong tables and a bar and an outdoor picnic area. I mean,
your rooftop bar, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is living the highlight.
It is. It's good stuff. And a lot of that, Tom, is really about the energy that we create. It's like anything else that we do. It's about the mindset. It's about the energy. It's about what it implies.
Yeah.
And when we have those amenities, it's not that everyone is going to use them. It starts to create a brand and an energy and a spirit. So we want to have that vibrant type of spirit, even if people really aren't actually using those specific things on a daily basis.
I love it.
It adds to the overall feel.
Yeah, and I think what's cool about that, from an outsider looking in, it's like, rather than it being a long-term care facility where people historically went to die, it's a place where people are going to live.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats for doing that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're learning a lot as we go too.
Oh, sure.
And it's so interesting. There's so many different ways to age. I mean, human beings are all different.
Yeah.
And as you age, you have different economics, different acuities, different interests and stuff. So it's a very vibrant field. You would kind of think about real estate development. I've done a lot of loft apartments downtown.
Yeah.
And then I did a lot of student housing after that. And you would think, and that was fine, right? Because you're dealing with young people, so you can be as creative as you want to be. Just make it cool, right?
Yeah.
I eventually kind of realized in that I wasn't the demographic, and I really wasn't that cool, so I had to get some help. But with aging adult, you would think that, this is kind of boring. It's not at all. It's super vibrant, super fun.
Yeah. Well, so talk to us a little bit about that. You talked about that you weren't that demographic, but we describe it as a target customer profile. So when you're deciding on a project, how do you put yourself in the eyes, or look at it through the lens of who you're trying to attract?
That's exactly it, man. One of our core values is that we see ourselves as empathetic developers. Empathy is really to really put yourself in the shoes of others and say, hey, what would I want to see in that? And then it's the old Steve Jobs adage of don't, whatever his quote is there, like something along the lines of giving them things that they didn't know they needed.
Yes.
They didn't know they needed 1,000 songs.
On their iPod or on their...
Try to do that in the senior space as well. Just think really forward. There's so much technology and so much new stuff. I mean, we can map the human genome down.
Yeah.
So to give somebody DNA testing on the way in that fits their dietary meal menu, things like that. So there's just a lot of new things coming at us. And a lot of it is just really, like I said, it's just looking at it and saying, what if?
Yeah.
What would it take to make someone's life as vibrant as possible?
Yeah.
Right?
So cool. Very cool. Well, how do you find the right, because I know that you bring in partners to help manage the facilities, and you have to have partners to help finance the facilities and all of those things. So how do you find the right partners that will take your vision and create an experience on a day-to-day basis, but still make it affordable at the same time? Because it's, healthcare costs and living costs and everything. It's always a challenge to manage all of it.
It is. So a lot there to unpack. First of all, that first thing is really realizing that I don't know everything. It's been a process.
Yeah.
But in that same vein, bringing the operators in early. So it's kind of difficult to find an operator, actually, because there's a lot of demand. It takes a lot to run an assisted living. So right?
Absolutely.
A lot of staffing, and opening one is a big deal for the entity that opens it. So to get them to come on board with you, trust you, believe in you, and invest there, they can only do so many.
Yeah.
Right? So to get them to choose you is kind of difficult, right?
Right.
And then I've learned just to bring them in as early as possible, literally with site selection, business development, definitely the design. The more they can be engaged on the front end, the more they become part of the project.
Yeah.
Right? So it's got their fingerprints on it. They're more involved in it. And then overseeing and managing them, that's something that we're learning as well. because it's different. There's a lot of moving parts in these, and no matter how good someone is, trust but verify.
That's it. You got to do it. Well, I love the idea of when you're dealing with strategic partners to bring them in early. That buy-in and that fingerprint, as you described, it really makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it really does.
How do you find the right financial partner? I mean, I know you've dealt with banks over the years and the challenges, but for people, young business owners or people who are trying to start a business on their own, just developing a relationship with a bank in a commercial sense sometimes can be intimidating.
Yeah.
How do you vet the right partner?
Tom, that's a big question. I wish that we had the silver bullet. Say, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
First of all, the world's just changing, man. It's just different now than it was 5 years ago or 2 years ago. It's just, it's moving and changing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
All my bankers now look like they're about 12, and they're wearing polo shirts instead of suits like they used to, and you don't have to go in and see them anymore. I used to have a lot of my bankers were buddies because I was in their office a lot, and it's just a different world. So we really have been figuring this out all over the place. On the debt side, with the banking, man, these guys want to loan you money.
Yeah.
They make money by loaning you money. Our job is to, they have a risk and an interest rate. That's really the two things they're looking at. How much money do you need, and how are you going to pay me back, and why should I believe you? Right?
Yeah.
So really, there again, to look at it empathetically and say, okay, how do I present this in a way that this lender has their risk mitigated, and that they believe that we can actually pay him back?
Right.
It's just that basic.
Yeah.
We also, you tend to learn which banks have an appetite for which type of things. Hey, I've been told no on loans a lot of times.
Yeah.
No at a bank just means the same thing as it does in the rest of life. Not right now, not that way.
Yeah.
Right? So we've had deals that banks would say no to, but the next bank absolutely loved. You just don't know. In a bank, they have a profile, and sometimes they are looking for the type of loan that you have, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's not about you. Yeah. Right? Or your deal might be timing. So, it's the old thing, is just go, learn on each one. A lot of times, we spend a lot of time packaging our deal. It's a prom queen, right? So if we take a deal in, we want it to look and smell and taste as good as possible. So what we've learned to do, we would rather provide the data, Tom, rather than let them go out and figure the data out on their own.
Oh, yeah.
Because my data's better, right? So I want to tell the story that I want to. So I'll bring in, we bring in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
So with a real estate development, we'll bring in a market study, the appraisal, the construction estimates, the operator. We're going to look at it just like any type of sales, and it is sales.
Yeah.
Sales.
Yeah.
Right?
I absolutely agree.
But we're looking at it and saying, okay, what are the customer's objections? What might they object to? Right? And we're just saying, what can we take away off of that? So we're building a dream team scenario.
Yeah.
Now, what we're doing, our lending range is usually in the $10 to $20 million range is what we're borrowing. But the way you do one thing is the way that you do everything. We do this on, we work hard.
Yeah.
We work hard to package our deal, even if it's not a big deal.
I love the empathetic approach. I think there's not very many people in business that would think about empathy for trying to work with a banker, but looking at it from their perspective and the win-win for both organizations, how do they mitigate the risk, and then how does that turn into a successful outcome that they're bought into the same, I'm sure.
I had a banker explain it to me once, young guy, and we were out having beers, and he said, Matt, it's not complicated. We borrow it for this much, and then we lend it to you for this much, and we try not to get our ass kicked in the process. That's really it. So us taking that objection away and making it as easy as possible for them to say yes. And Tom, it's just a human experience also. You've got a loan officer who is going to take it to his superiors.
Yep.
Present it to the board. Okay? I'm going to make that as easy on him as possible. I'm going to tell him what story to tell. I'm going to give him pictures, data, everything that he needs is going to make his job easy, but it's the delivery that I'm looking for.
Right. So you're guiding the experience all the way through to get the best possible outcome.
Yeah, that's pretty much like I do everything.
No control issues there.
No control issues at all. Yeah. And sometimes you just will it into existence, just like you've done. It's just tenacity. We've also gone back and redone deals completely. We've taken a deal out to investors or lenders or the appraisal or whatever it is, and realized that we weren't getting the feedback that we wanted. So we've gone back in and revamped our deal. Sometimes you punt and say, well, this just isn't the deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is hard to do. It's also very, very important, as you know. I would rather walk away from a deal 10 times than to do one bad deal.
Yeah.
Really in any business, because it takes so many resources to just do stuff. And then how much resources and energy is it to fix stuff?
Yeah.
When that's broke. And
Twice or three times.
in my world, probably like yours, you do a project or a division or a development that isn't working with us, that's with you for a while.
Yeah.
It sticks with us, the gift that keeps giving, right? So we will go back in, repencil a deal, make it better in some way, but we try not to lie to ourselves in the process, right?
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
That's a fine line.
Yeah. Well, we oftentimes talk about how you have to love the truth even when you don't like it.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that's a big part of what you're saying. And what I'm hearing you say is that sometimes, even though you're so passionate about a project, you've got to take that feedback because it might not be the right deal, and you got to be willing to get beyond your own ego.
It is. That is the best and worst thing about my style is I go all in and I fall in love with it, right? But then it's harder to walk away. And it's harder to realize, just like right now, there's some things right now that worked at 4% that don't at 7%. That's just the way it is.
I was going to ask you about that. So I mean, the interest rates and everything that's changing in the world today, how's that going to impact your world for the next couple of years?
I've been through the recession, which was the big one.
Yeah.
We made it.
Yeah.
We did it. And some other ups and downs. I haven't been through the big high interest rate environment like there was back in the early 80s, 70s, and 80s. So that's new.
Yeah.
I've not seen them move this quickly. I mean, it's hammer down. They're doing this. When you just look at the policy behind this, they're restricting the flow of cash, and they're saying stop.
Yeah.
Right? Stop spending money. Right? It's successful. They're being successful.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I don't like it and all that stuff, but it is going to be a successful model. You have home builders that are just saying, they're just going to stop.
Yeah.
And they're probably regretting the ones that they've already started, because mortgage rates have moved so much, it's just hard for people to buy.
Right.
Right? In our business, these are big numbers, just like your business. I mean, if you're borrowing $20 million and that rate upticks on you, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So for us, the solution is to somehow wring more money out of the deal, right? It's raise your rents.
Yeah.
Right? It becomes difficult in this industry because somebody somewhere along the line is going to question your income and say, is that real? So I can go out there all day long and say, hey, I'm going to raise rents from $2,000 a month to $3,000 a month. Well, where's the data?
Yeah.
Where's the proof that that's achievable, right? So that's the point that we're at now. We're going I'm not unique in this way. All developers who will keep developing will need to do this. They'll need to just get more income out of their product, right?
Yep.
We're seeing that a lot in the multifamily business, the single-family rental home business, where rents are just jacking up. They're just escalating like nuts, and that's part of the driver of that. How we'll navigate it, we've literally gone in a few deals that we're doing, just change the business plan. So as an example, we can usually get more money out of something if we add more services. So we're just looking at it and say, well, we were going to provide this level of service, but what if we up the level of service, make this into a higher acuity type of a senior facility, charge more rent for it.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things that we're looking at doing.
So you make a little bit of margin on everything that you're doing, so you're bringing in more dollars or more opportunities to make that margin. And
This is pretty simple, man. It's just, you got income and expenses.
Yeah.
I mean, I've really enjoyed the experience. I just love it. I appreciate my father so much. I know that you've worked with your dad some also. I know.
Yeah.
Actually, he was an attorney. But actually, your brother was.
Yeah.
But I think I worked with her dad a little bit on that as well. I lost my thought there.
Yeah. You appreciate your dad. Business.
Yeah. Because he just let me make mistakes, man. I was out there buying cars that I had no business buying. I go out to the auto auction, 16 years old, raising my hand, buying stuff. My dad was never there saying, don't do it, you know?
Yeah.
He just let me do my thing. But I got to make all those mistakes. And what I really reflect on and I smile about is business is business. It was the same. It was the same thing buying a vehicle. I had expenses to fix it, and I had insurance, and I had this and that and the other. I had overhead, right?
Yeah.
And then I had the sale, and what was left over at the end was my profit or loss, right? And if I bought the wrong one, I'd get stuck with it.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff. So just the fundamentals are pretty simple.
Yeah. That's
awesome. More, you have to charge more.
Somewhere it's got to go. And I think what we're going to see in the industry as it continues to evolve is obviously we're going to see some things slow down, but I think we're going to see some kind of negative trickle-down effects on people having to sacrifice things in their life that we don't want to sacrifice, that people don't want to sacrifice. And I think there's an opportunity or situation that could evolve from that it's going to have a boomerang effect in a negative way.
It's the fundamental. I mean, in order to curb inflation, people have to stop paying for shit.
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
If you keep spending and keep buying, then it will keep going up essentially. So our demand is overheated.
Yeah.
So it inherently, what needs to happen is some pullback on that demand. Unfortunately, what that means is you're maybe not buying that new iPad or that new car or that whatever it is. You know, that's the reality.
That's it. Yeah. So let's switch the topic for just a minute to culture and people. You've talked to me over the years as you've navigated through young people coming into your organization and the challenges of hiring and keeping, and then you guys are deciding to use contractors more than you ever have in the past. How do you find in your world, how do you find the right team to put around you that create energy in your environment rather than it just being a job?
My best way to answer this is just through the mistakes that I've made. I felt like I know a little bit about developing, but this staffing piece is difficult. I am not a manager. I've never worked for anybody. I've never been to any management training, any of that stuff. I've just been bootstrapping this deal, just like you know, you just get in and start
going.
This is not my secret superpower. But I can tell you in theory, right? In actuality, I don't know that I've been that successful. Having said that, I've had employees that have worked with us for 10, 15 years, which is awesome. Moved up and in their job and you started out at the low end, end up running things and stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. We're right now, with the world being so flat, as you know, you do have a ton of opportunity out there. If you're talking about outsourcing, there's just a ton of freelancers. So the great great resignation just put a ton of freelancers out in the marketplace. It's just a matter of, if you have those specialty needs, it's just a matter of finding them, engaging them, scoping them, and you need some skills to do that. We are learning that it's out there, but you still have to be able to manage them and give them clear scope and deliverables and all that stuff.
Right.
To get staffing, so there's so many people working remote now. If you have positions that people can work remote, you obviously have a huge field then to look from. Us being here in Missouri, we have this kind of a small network here, but if you can expand beyond that, obviously there's a whole talent pool out there. We haven't figured this out. Honestly, I haven't figured out the leadership piece of it myself.
Yeah.
Difficult stuff. I just want to go shoot my mouth off, do my development stuff.
Yeah.
But this is a huge part of it. Motivating people, leading people, getting them to stay, helping them be happy at their work, all that stuff.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough. But I think there's a lot that our viewers can take away from what you just shared, because when solving the people things and focusing on the people things isn't your magic sauce, like, that's okay. Like, you have a strength, and that is to go shoot your mouth off and do the development work and create the vision and do all of those things. And then you can surround yourself with other people who that is their secret sauce. And you just have to have one good people leader in your organization that can really make the difference.
You are so right. And probably from our upbringings and our ages, we were the roll up your sleeves generation. That's the way that we were taught.
Yep.
That's what we grew up in. So I always felt like, by golly, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And I'm just getting to the point now where I'm realizing I don't have to be good at that. I just need to find somebody that's good at it.
Yeah, that's it.
Somebody working there that's good at it.
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I think a lot of people in a CEO or leadership role just think they have to have all the answers. And I realized a long time ago, sometimes the best answer is, I don't know, let's go figure it out. And then work with people and go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, talk to us just a little bit. I know you're a big fitness guy. You like to get outside. You like to experience life a little bit. Life balance is really an important part of who you are. And you have so much going on, millions of dollars on the line, but yet you find the time to go on a Disney cruise or, with your grandkids, or you do something special. How do you balance it all?
Yeah. The best way to get the life that you want is to not settle for less. Right? And I just build it that way.
Yeah.
And it's cost me, there's been things that I've missed because of it. I've been, if I had been there, I would have seen this happening or whatever. But man, this is life, man. This is our one go around. I take it very seriously, which means I take having a good sense of humor about it real seriously, right? I focus on doing the stuff. This is not a dress rehearsal, man. So the business stuff, I tend to sway the other way. A lot of work guys just have a hard time relaxing or having fun. I'm more the other way. I love my work. My work is fun.
Yeah.
Everything except the management piece that I mentioned. That's not fun. Right? But all the rest of it is. And I think and hope that's part of our success also, because our developments are fun. I bring that same energy into it. So that's where I feel like my life and my work are combined like this, because I'm the same person.
Yes.
That congruency is very important, and that's something that I've worked at as well. Just to be congruent in your entire life, to show up as the same man with your family, with your employees, with your work, with your friends, to just not have to work at putting a different mask on each one of those. And that's part of it. Growing up, there again, I'm not saying that I figured it out.
No,
right?
I think you're pretty good at it, though.
The effort's there, and that's as I've got 4 things that I look at any type of a project or activity: focus, meaning, planning, do. And so when I take something down and I focus on it first, just separate it away from the crowd, whatever it is, an agenda, a lifestyle choice, whatever, I focus on it. And then I establish the meaning and just say, what's this mean to me? So like this, to say, what I want my life to be like. What brings me happiness, right? Progress equals happiness. Right? We feel like we're moving forward. So I'll establish meaning and say, I want it to mean. What's it mean to me?
Yeah.
What's the feeling that I want to get? Anything that I'm looking at, Tom, I'm going to focus first on what feeling am I trying to create in someone else?
No, I love it.
Or in myself? And then plan it. I'm a big planner. That's just the way my brain works. And I've learned, like we talked about, more with a team effort there. So once you know what it is and you know the feeling that you want, make a plan, man, right? And then the doing. And the doing, whether that's do mention fitness, business, getting a loan, getting turned down on a loan. I am relentless in my pursuit. The same way that you are. I will not give up.
Yeah.
I will go and push and push and push. But I've established the meaning. And if the meaning isn't good enough or big enough, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Right?
So it gives you the endurance to fight for it.
It's the fuel. It's the endurance. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I love that. And so you apply that. And I think there's so much wisdom to unpack there. One of them that I love that you said was that when you're the same person no matter where you're at and what you're doing. And I think that there's something special for people, because when I was a young business owner, it was like, well, I've got to have my CEO coat on, and I've got to be this way. And then with my kids, I can be, let down my guard. But when you really get comfortable with who you are and who you want to be, you're just the same. There's no facade. And it's like the old saying that it goes something to the effect of when you tell lies, you have to remember all the lies that you told, but when you tell the truth, all you have to do is worry about the truth. And I think that's true with the way that we are with ourselves.
That is a work. It's a work in progress. You're absolutely right. And it's okay. It's okay that I tend to show up a little bit differently over here. Or I can look back and say, you know what? I wish I would have behaved differently yesterday when I was doing this. That's okay. The self-actualization part is hard. It's to look at life as an experiment and just go through and say, man, that didn't work. What caused that? Right? Where did I miss it?
Yes.
On that one. But this deal of the work on yourself, I think that's the biggest favor that you can do for anyone.
Yeah.
Your employees, your friends, your family, the time and energy that you spend working here, and that's really where that congruency stems from, is that work on yourself.
Yeah.
That focus.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, in focus, in meaning, planning, and doing. And I think that's brilliant, man. I absolutely.
Well, that's a Tony Robbins thing, but he doesn't include the planning part. And I think, for me, I'm not saying Tony's wrong.
No.
But Tony's got 40 years of doing this. But for me, the planning part is vital because we're leading people, right?
Yeah.
So I can't, I may say, hey, let's go build this big building, Tom. This is awesome, and it's going to mean so much to me and mean so much to all these other people. We have the spirit of stuff. Let's go do it. Well, I need some construction documents. I need some architecture. I need to own the land. I need all this stuff. So really to make a plan first, and I'm a big planner, like I said, get that playbook. Everybody knows what they're doing, all that stuff. Then you go do.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, well, hey, thanks for sharing all that. So as we wrap up, tell me what's some of the best advice you've ever received in your life, whether it's business or personal or whatever it may be.
Yeah, good stuff. There's so much out there. I'll tell you a couple things. One, I bought a building. My first building I purchased downtown. It was right when downtown was kind of starting to hit. There was one restaurant down here, Bijan's, and that's where all the people on the south side with money were starting to come downtown. Just that one restaurant. We had a lot of boarded up buildings down here, but you could see it. And in fairness, like I said earlier, I didn't know I was doing this, but you look at the rest of the country, really the world, this reurbanization was happening there in the early 2000s.
Right.
So there's a building down here, I shit you not, it's got a orange and black for sale sign on it that's off of like a car, like you'd use on that. It just says for sale. So I called the guy. I had no experience buying downtown buildings, and I hadn't bought anything except a fixer-upper house.
Yeah.
Right? So I was spending $50,000, $60,000 buying homes and flipping them. And this, I'd call, he was $300,000. Long story short, beautiful man named Bob Thame. He was in his mid-70s at that time, which I thought was old. And he and I ended up establishing a relationship through the process of me buying that building. I did a owner finance, no money down, massage deal with him, and he was involved. And we just, both of us at the end of the day, both of us performed. We each put trust in each other, and both of us showed up and did what we said we were going to do. That ended up being a lifelong friendship. And I was having lunch with him once a month up until he moved. When he turned up just about 90, he moved to Dallas to be with near to family. They moved into a resort-style assisted living facility on the independent living side, and that they were there for about 2 years, and they left there because there were just too many old people there. When he was 90. Awesome guy. I asked him once, I said, Bob, I said, you're my hero. Man, I want to be just like you. What advice would you give me now? And this would have been in his mid-80s, I bet. He did the whole aw shucks thing. Aw shucks, man, you know. But he said, if there's any advice, I think it would be just not to worry about it. Your life's just going to have things that happen, ups and downs, and just don't worry about it all. It just keeps going, and just control what you can, do what you can. This guy was a guy, Tom, that died just last year at 94. And he just lit up every room that he entered. And that would lead me to my next advice, which when asked his definition of greatness, I'm going to forget who it was that said this, but it just really stuck with me. He thought about it and he said, when you leave a room, that it has more hope in it than when you entered. And I always thought, that's
so good.
That's the guy that I want to be.
Yeah.
Right? That's the meaning.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want to aspire to.
That's life right there.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you, sir. Let me raise a glass and congratulate you for owning your journey. Cheers to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.